Today I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistakes I've made on my property journey to date. So let's get straight into it. Now, mistake number one, it could actually be all three, because what I did way back in 2003, 4, 5 was I decided that it was a great idea, because I didn't have much savings, to stretch my savings as far as possible by investing them across 3 different off-plan properties abroad in Turkey, Bulgaria and Estonia. That's me. Sounded like a great idea, because now overnight with 3 small staged payments, so an upfront deposit, I had to pay when, for instance, it reached roof level, when it was watertight, when it's finished, etc. on these developments. But I didn't have a plan. I didn't have any idea how I was going to fund the future payments. I just got myself started with the upfront deposits. So my life savings at the time, I was in my mid-20s, was around 8 grand, and I put that money down across the 3 different properties and waited to become a multi-millionaire by them being built by foreign investors, foreign builders in different countries. And I just sat back waiting for the money to roll in. I wasn't just any property investor now. I was an international property investor. I had holiday homes all across Europe. I was taking over the world. And fast forward to 2007, and it kind of went quiet. The Estonia property never got built, never had planning, never got built. The Turkey property did get finished. I paid about 50 grand for it in total. And luckily in 2009, I managed to sell it for around 25 grand. Half what I paid for it, literally half what I paid for it, lost the rest. Bulgaria, I still have it today. But people say to me, well, I probably still have the one in Estonia too, but it's off plan. But technically, when you think about off plan, you've got to buy the land and then you build on the land. But I didn't buy a ground floor flat apartment. I bought a first floor apartment. So mine's up here, but nothing exists underneath. So I don't even have the land. But in Bulgaria, I do have the property. It was fully finished. It was a 2-bedroom, top floor, penthouse apartment. Now in Bulgaria, they call it a penthouse apartment, but really what they mean is it's just the one on the top floor, and it looks no different to the ones on the floor below. But I own this 2-bedroom apartment. I actually went and stayed in it. It was lovely, except it's in a ski resort called Bansko, and if you go skiing, you kind of want to be walking distance to the ski lift. And then people say to me when I ask them, how close do you want to be to a ski lift? They always go walking distance. Well, what is walking distance? Because my apartment is 5.5 kilometers from the ski lift, and I did walk it as a test. So technically, it's within walking distance. It's just not a walking distance that any normal person would want to walk to go skiing. So you are looking at the only person who ever stayed there. And there was extortionate management fees. So we all got together, a bunch of owners, 56 of us. And what we did was we voted out the management company. So we all met together at the Crown Plaza in Birmingham. Some people zoomed in. All the owners were English and Irish investors. And we voted on voting out the management company. And what we did was we hired a new company to manage the complex. Really good company. They were an English couple running a company out in Bansko, and they were going to run the complex for us. And to no fault of theirs, nothing to do with them, the previous management company came back and broke into all the apartments and destroyed them all, ripped everything out, the kitchens, the aircon units, the bathrooms, the lot. And over the coming months, we began to realise that the people we had voted out were the local Bulgarian mafia, and the whole system was corrupt. I had started off with this dream of becoming wealthy in property, and I had put 8 grand of my life savings, everything I had, into these 3 off-plan properties abroad. And by 2009, 6 years after getting started, I realised that I was in well over 100 plus grand of debt. It all started to fall apart in 2007. I realised how big the problem was by 2009. And I just put my head in the sand and did absolutely nothing from 2007, apart from try and fix the problem, work hard in a job, try and sort the mess out, try and dig my way out of debt. And fast forward to 2013, I was still in debt. So biggest mistake number 1 was buying off plan abroad, having no idea what I was doing. I didn't know the tax systems, I didn't know the legal systems. I signed contracts I couldn't even read. I hired the solicitors that were recommended to me by the developer because I didn't have a solicitor. I mean, every stupid newbie mistake you could possibly make, I made them. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two, when I finally got educated and learned about property investing, I'll tell you more about that later, I didn't believe that I could raise money. So I was in a vicious catch-22 circle. I had knowledge, I could gain the knowledge to learn about property. I had some knowledge. I'd been trying to do property for years. I'd read loads of books. I had attended seminars. I had done all of this stuff, but I didn't have a belief. And mistake number two was really not believing in myself. But it's not that you don't believe in yourself. For me, it was that I didn't believe it was possible, which kind of links to not believing in yourself. I didn't believe anybody would lend me money. I didn't have my own money to get started. So I told myself that money was my problem. And even if I had knowledge, I couldn't do anything because I didn't have the money. And nobody's going to lend money to somebody who has never done a deal before, or actually who had a track record of doing shit deals. And I meet a lot of people starting in property and they say, I find it difficult to raise money. I was the same. I found it difficult to raise money. But here's the reality of it. And you'll probably, when you deep down think about this, will agree. I didn't find it difficult to raise money. I found it difficult to believe I could. Because I said to myself, oh, it's difficult to raise money. But I never actually tried. I never even put myself out there. And then when I actually tried to raise money, I found something out. It was easy to raise money. People with money were looking for me. They were looking for you. They already have made the decision to lend their money. And the reason they're not lending it to you or me is because they didn't know that I existed and they don't know you exist. So it is not difficult to raise money. It is difficult to make a decision to try. There is money absolutely everywhere. So my mistake number two was I waited and waited and waited before deciding to raise money. And I see this all the time with people. They use something as an excuse to not take action. And I did it for years to make myself feel comfortable about where I was at. I'll give you an example. I spoke to a guy on social media yesterday in our comments in one of my TikTok videos. And he said that I was talking about how it's easy to raise money. It's easy. Money is everywhere. And he said, well, he doesn't have time. Yeah, he can't have money because he's got 4 kids. His 4 kids are his reason for not having money. Now, I came back in and I said that, that's an excuse. And then he just laughed because he wanted to make himself feel comfortable and not taking action. See, here's the reality. You can say my 4 children are my reason to not have time to save money or not have time to build a business or not be able to save any money because kids are expensive. Or you could say my 4 kids are my driver, my determination, my reason to change, my reason to raise money, my reason to do things differently. You see, it is how you use it. And some people use the same reason for a reason to be comfortable about where they're at and to be comfortable with their decision to not take any action. And other people use the very same thing as their driver. Which one are you? You see, up until 2013, I used all of my problems as an excuse to not take any action. And since 2013, I've used all of my problems as my driver to push forward. It is what you want it to be. Biggest mistake number 3 is stuck in the system. I had gone through the traditional system of getting a good education, getting a good job, relying on a pension, working hard, doing continuous professional development. And I found myself at 35 years of age in a normal corporate job, doing the same monotonous task that I'd done for 10 plus years. And I didn't see a way out. And I was stuck in the system. I would literally be told in April that there'd be a bonus talked about in October. But in October, the bonus wasn't as big as you hoped it would be, or your department didn't get it for X, Y, Z reason. And then in October, though, they'd tell us that there's pay reviews happening and people would be informed of their pay rises in April. So then I'm only ever 6 months away from leaving or 6 months away from my next bonus or my next pay rise. So do I leave, go to a different job, or do I hang on and see what the pay rise is going to be? So I'll wait till April. And then in April, we're told about the October bonus. So I got to wait till October. And then in October, we're told about the April pay rise. So I got to wait till April because it's only a few months away. And now I'm in the hamster wheel and I can't leave. And I watched people leave that job and go away and work for other companies and come back as my boss on more money. But I could never go. Why? Because not only was I stuck there, but I had to meet my payments from that debt in Eastern Europe, and it was costing me about £1,500 a month. And I was worried that if I leave this stable job and I go to a different company and they don't like me or decide not to make me permanent after the probation period, I'm in a world of shit. So the debt from Eastern Europe didn't just affect me in terms of my start of my property journey. It filtered right through every part of me and every part of everything I was doing for my job, and not being able to leave the job and not being able to give myself a shot at risking something new. And the thing is, if you don't risk anything, you actually risk everything, and you end up stuck in this downward spiral to the road to nowhere. And there's a saying that Jim Rohn once said, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And in 2013, I decided to educate myself and learn about property investing, learn about business. And I built up an income stream part-time. While I was working full-time in the job, I built it up part-time. So that allowed me to then eventually quit the job and go full-time in property. My biggest mistake, number 3, was not believing that formal education was a bit of a scam, and not believing that formal education was actually the road to nowhere, the road to a job where they give you just enough to survive but not enough to thrive, and that self-education was the way to success. If you look around you, if you look around the streets, those people driving the better cars, those people in the bigger homes, are they doing what you do, or have they done something different with their available free time? And the reality is that most people rely on the formal education. And my biggest mistake was waiting 35 years stuck in a system that had let me down, let my family down, let my neighbors down. The system had let most people I knew down. And it took me 35 years to start that process of breaking out of the system. So the biggest mistake I ever did was relying on that system. The biggest win I've ever had was having the determination to break out of that system and to make the decision to do it. And the thing is, anybody can do that, even you. It comes with a decision to change. You have to have the right desire, the right drive, the right determination. But even with all of that, the decision is the thing that moves you forward. Surround yourself with people who are on a different path, and you will become a sum of those people. You surround yourself with certain types of people and it rubs off on you. Change your environment and you change your result. So they're the 3 biggest mistakes I've made before educating myself on how to build businesses correctly. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future episodes. I've been Kevin McDonnell. You've been amazing. See you next time.